Hello, my name is Mike Raines, and our firm, Raines, Lucia, Stern, St. Phalle, and Silver, have the honor of representing members of the Antioch Police Officers Association. I am making this statement in conjunction with a written statement that we're going to be releasing that's going to be a little more expansive than the comments I intend to make in this statement. First of all, on behalf of our clients, the Antioch Police Officers Association, I want to express that we were heartened that yesterday Police Chief Tammany Brooks was permitted by Antioch City officials to make an appearance before the cameras and release the true facts surrounding the tragic, unfortunate death of Angelo Quinto that occurred on December 23rd of 2020. Frankly, that information should have been conveyed to the public sooner than it was. And in response to the misinformation and outright false information that had been provided to the media and the public by members of the Quinto family and by their retained attorney. Knowing the evidence, some of the evidence in that case, because we represented the officers in that case and were familiar with it, I am quite confident that the investigation will disclose, once completed, that the officers acted entirely appropriately and took no action whatsoever to cause or contribute to the death of Mr. Quinto. But I have to turn my attention to a matter that the chief wasn't allowed to address yesterday, and I want to address for my members. And it is the unfortunate maligning of Antioch Police by, of all people, a city council person in the city of Antioch. And I'm talking about Councilwoman Torres-Walker, Tamisha Torres-Walker, who went on a 9-minute rant. And it related to the Antioch Police Department's detention of her two sons. On December 29th, they were observed to be driving off-road vehicles on city streets. That's illegal under the laws of California. Not only were they driving illegally under the laws, but they were also doing things on those vehicles that were unsafe and threatened the safety of other motorists on the roadway. So Antioch Police attempted to stop them, and that resulted in a short pursuit because one of the sons didn't want to stop. Rather than acknowledging that her sons had acted inappropriately and that the police were simply trying to do their job, Ms. Walker Torres went on a 9-minute rant shortly after that, where she talked about her view of what had occurred. And I don't think that's been addressed appropriately by the city. I want to talk about that for just a minute because in that 9-minute rant, City Council person Torres-Walker used a slew of profanity directed at the Antioch Police Department and its officers generally. When I talk about a slew of profanity, I'm talking about she called Antioch police officers a-holes 9 separate times. She referred to them as MFers 16 times. She used variations of the F word, calling the police effed up or effing police 42 times in 9 minutes. And the word SHIT spewed from her mouth no less than 9 to 11 times during that time period. As a result of her profanity against the police, Police Chief Tammany Brooks initiated an internal affairs investigation relating to the conduct of his officers in stopping her two sons. And that investigation is underway. It's being conducted by an outside investigator. We look forward to a fair and objective investigation of that. And of course, I trust and hope that Ms. Torres-Walker's sons will step up, be interviewed, and tell the truth about what really happened that day. But another investigation was started as well. That was an investigation initiated by the city administrator of Ms. Torres-Walker and her comments and her demeanor in the aftermath of this incident. But something happened to that investigation. You see, what happened was after started, it was suddenly, inexplicably, but very quietly called off. It was discontinued. What does that mean? To us, to me, it means that the city leadership sanctions that kind of behavior and those kinds of statements by Ms. Torres-Walker. And so I want to pose this question to the entire city council in the city of Antioch, its mayor, and the city administrator. What would happen if one of my officer clients in the city of Antioch talked in those terms to any human being, not let alone a public official? And the answer, I think you all know what the answer is. The answer is the officer would be fired. And I know as a lawyer that our advice to that officer would be your conduct, your speech was completely indefensible. Indefensible. But what about Ms. Torres-Walker? Is she held to a different standard than everybody else? Apparently so, if we take the discontinuation of her investigation as a sign of acquiescence by city leadership. So I'm going to say to the city council, the mayor, the city administrator, that if now is a time for city leaders to do anything, it is a time for them to step up and to start talking about healing the terrible, terrible rift that occurred between communities and law enforcement following the death of George Floyd last May. It's the time for leaders to start bringing the police and the communities back together. It's not the time to engage in the vitriolic comments and hate-filled speech engaged in by Ms. Torres-Walker in the aftermath of this incident. So, City Council, city leaders in Antioch, it's up to you to do something. What are you going to do? On behalf of the Antioch Police Officers Association, thanks for letting me talk.